The BHP Billiton Skills Development Summit kicked off at the CSIR Convention Centre in Tshwane, where participants from various vocations converged to discuss skills development in South Africa.
I think it's not just about having the summit, it's about creating a platform where government, corporate South Africa, CETAs, institutions of higher learning can come together and talk about what's happening within the skills development arena as far as the country is concerned. Because, if you look at, if we're planning to grow this country, if we're going to do anything differently in terms of economic growth in South Africa, then we need to look at what we have done in the past, look at our successes and failures, and look at some of the challenges that exist within the skills development arena.
Now in its fourth year, the theme for this year's summit was skills development as a catalyst for economic growth. Fitting, considering the lack of skills in South Africa's workforce is a contributing factor to slow economic growth.
You can't grow a business unless you have the talent. And in order for you to have the talent, you must invest in developing that talent. So you talk about skills development and you talk about being a catalyst to economic development, and you understand that we have Vision 2030, and Vision 2030 is talking about the infrastructure, you're talking about revisiting the backbone of our country's economy, which is agriculture, you are talking about upskilling in terms of our media. If we're going to realize any of the stuff that we have in Vision 2030 as a country, then we have to focus on skills development and identify the kind of skills that are required to that. If we don't do that, we can't realize those goals.
Dr. MKHWANAZI, chairman of the mining giant BHP Billiton, feels his company has a major role to play in skills development.
Well, we recognize that probably skills shortage is the biggest threat to our economic growth and to the growth of the mining industry. As you know, my company is a mining company. We participate in the task teams, and I've got even a personal commitment to this.
There was a strong representation by the public sector. MAJADIBODU spoke on behalf of the National Skills Authority on the importance of the Skills Development Summit.
It's important because it brings all role players together and they share ideas that has failed in the past and the workable ideas and how can South Africa move forward. And benchmarking ourselves as a country with the outside world, since we are one economy and one world, the business principles applied today are global principles that has to be meshed against the successful method of doing business. And as such, we need skills that can propel the growth of business to high levels.
South Africa's competitive job market suggests that a formal education may not be enough to secure employment. Skills are an additional necessity.
Well, without a basic education, without getting the foundations right so that our children can learn to read and to count, we're never going to get the high-level skills we need. So I think it's both. It's understanding where kids are at, and it's catering for their needs, but also understanding that they have to fly and they have to be far better than they are. They have to be the best. Well, I think skills give a country the cutting edge that it needs to compete in a world that's very cutthroat and that's globalized. So I think that's probably the basis, is that it means that we have the engineers, the accountants, the doctors that we need, but also the poets and musicians who can help us interpret the world, and the managers who can make the world happen.
With a variety of skills development institutions to pick from, entrepreneurship may be the winning option over formal employment.
The Agricultural Research Council is mainly concentrating on research, but now we expand to training people. We have quite a lot of people that would like to start farming. So usually it is somebody that doesn't have any background of farming. So the only skills they really need to have is to be able to read and write.
Those who are fortunate enough to be a part of South Africa's workforce need to continue to build on their knowledge and skills in order to remain relevant and contribute to the growth of the economy. BLOEM provides one example on how this can be done.
So the NeuroLeadership Group is really about training executives, senior executives, managers in leadership skills, in performance skills. But the unique aspect of our organization is that we train them according to neuroscience principles. So it's about teaching people about their own brain and how their own brain works, and teaching them about other people's brains, and then being able to get the best out of themselves and the best out of others from a neuroscience perspective, from an understanding of how the brain works.
A commitment to developing the right set of skills from both the private and public sector could go a long way in empowering South Africa's workforce and its economy.